Welcome, everyone, to episode 307 of Just Joshing. I'm your host, Joshua Pentalaresco. I write stuff and podcasts to Jeremy Verkley, the voiceover actor who does my advertisements, is my guest. But he's more than just an actor and a voiceover guy. He's a podcaster as well. Third World Podcast with Kevin Weir is one of the coolest shows I listen to. Those two have a riot, just building characters. And honestly, Kevin was on the show just before 300, and I thought, with my impending move, and as of this time, I will be literally near the end of my time here. I probably got 2 days left when this will come out, and I thought I'd close off with him because Jeremy's actually a really cool dude, one of my favorite people, and I wanted to go off and make sure that both men, gentlemen, the Third World Podcasts are featured. Don't worry, the When Words Collide podcast will resume with episode 311. But I thought this would be a cool way to wrap things up of my time in Calgary, and I couldn't think of a better choice than Jeremy Verkley himself. So Jeremy, thanks for doing this. Let's just get to the chat, and we'll talk more later.
Think you have what it takes? Get your ass to Mars. Gaiatim is a simulation game in which you arrive on Mars ahead of the colonists about to settle into this new home. Until they arrive, you have to survive, facing limited resources and a brand new world filled with unexpected challenges. Can you establish what the colonists need to survive, or will Mars get the better of you? Gaiatim, the Dragon Edition, launches this November, courtesy of Indie Imprint on Steam and Windows. Check out indieimprint.com for more information.
Excellent. So the recording is officially on.
Okay.
So I'm with Jeremy Verkley, otherwise known as Barry Allen, because he's got the same super talent for being late.
Oh, I feel so bad about it.
Man, don't. Hey, listen, at least you showed up. I mean, so there's a rule about being late, and here's the thing about it.
Yeah.
Right? If you're going to be late, you're going to be really late. Because, see, if you're just a little late, they get really, really mad at you.
Yeah.
But when you, are super, super late, they're just happy you showed up. Right?
I would prefer to be 15 minutes early.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I let you know, especially because I am transit reliant. So it's not uncommon for me to be a little late.
Oh yeah. It has nothing to do with anybody else.
Yeah.
It has everything to do with the way I feel about it. When I'm going somewhere with somebody and I'm driving, I go, okay, you ready? And they're like, we don't have to leave yet. We've got a half an hour and it takes 10 minutes to drive there. And I'll be like, no, we need to leave now because I will get considerably more stressed every single minute that passes that we're not getting ready.
Yeah. And then which they look at you and go, okay, I guess we're getting ready now.
And they go, okay. And then they take their time. And then, we're there early. But for me, it's a big mark of respect. I feel terrible when I'm late because I feel like I disrespect the person.
I'm not. I don't quite feel that way when I'm late. I look at it I look at it kind of like, what can I control?
Yeah.
Right. Because again, Calgary being such a large city and the transit being for a large city mediocre.
That's kind of you to say.
No. I can give you some horror stories. I've lived in a lot of places.
I would have said it's awful. So
mediocre.
Yeah.
I've been in awful. Trust me, this is not awful.
Okay.
Awful's Detroit. Detroit is awful.
Okay.
We get one bus whenever it feels like it.
Is that where you're from, Detroit?
No, I'm from everywhere. I lived in Detroit. I'm originally from Ontario.
Gotcha.
Born in Oshawa, Ontario. But I've lived in London, Toronto, Windsor, lots of small towns in there.
Yeah.
Detroit.
Did you ever go to Kingston?
I've been there, but I've never actually lived there.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Been there, did not live there. As far east as I've actually been, believe it or not.
That is also as far east as I've been.
Yes. Yes, Kingston it's there. I mean, but I mean, my worst bus service was still far and away is Whitby, Ontario.
Okay.
The buses stopped after 6 p.m.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, it very sucks. Yes.
That sucks. That reminds me of small town living.
Yeah.
I've lived in Kimberley twice, and everything closes by 4.
Yes.
Except for a couple restaurants.
Yeah, which is like I have something to do for the evening or kind of deal.
Yeah.
No, and there's nothing wrong with small town living, but when you're literally a metropolitan of Toronto, that's what you are now.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah, no, that really sucks.
Yeah. So my version of terrible is probably lower than a lot of other people's.
Yeah, that's fair.
Calgary is mediocre because it doesn't have the infrastructure, and you can see that the infrastructure that should be there is not there.
Yeah.
They built first and didn't really think about infrastructure.
Well, the interesting thing about like history for Calgary in terms of infrastructure and travel is that back when we were like 500,000 people, they built a bunch of things that were, okay, this will last us till about 1 million people. But as we approached 1 million people, they didn't change anything.
No.
So now we're overloaded on a bunch of things. This is why Deerfoot is so terrible, because it's meant for that threshold of 1 million people, and we're way over that now.
Well, that is the only road that goes north and south. Like the ring road's a good idea, but they actually should already be building the second ring road, the one that goes from Okotoks to Airdrie, right? Yep. So they should build that now, and save a lot of grief later. Yeah. But they're not going to do that.
Well, we're too far behind the ball now that we're playing catch up.
Yeah. Well, we're always going to play catch up. So at some point, you got to be like, okay, we'll bite the bullet. Let's get ahead here. Yeah. We'll get our asses kicked for about a year. Yeah. And then, but after a year,
that's a hard pill to swallow for people who get upset when they fund public art in the city.
Yeah, but I mean,
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah.
But
I know. But I know it's just one of those. We live in a very, very, very weird time in that no one thinks, no one. Yeah. And like I was looking at today, like while I was waiting for you, I was looking at some of the things that were going on in the world today, and I'm seeing the same. I don't want to sound like I'm very insensitive to the mass shootings, because I'm not. I mean, it's terrible that
it's horrible.
It's horrible. Yeah. But everybody gives me, once these things all happen,
it's the same thing.
It's the same thing over and over again. And for me, it's like, okay, let's really think about this. Yeah. Right? The problem is the guns, but it's actually the symptom. The real problem is you have a country that basically makes most of its money off military contracts. Yeah. Right? And because it makes most of its money that way.
Well, one that way. I would say that a second really big contributing factor is that they've built it in not only to their education system, but their constitution, that the government is an enemy.
But that's actually, oddly enough, that is actually true now. Yeah. Right? It is actually true.
It is, but they're not doing what the amendment says to do, which is pick up their arms and take over the government.
Oh, no, because what's happened, this is what's happened. Yeah. It's a business now. It's all the way around. It's a business. So, I mean, you have, I read a really good book, actually written by a guy in Calgary called The Energy of Slaves, and it explains that because the wealth is not money. Wealth is whatever your resources are. Wealth for us is oil. That's the wealth of this age. Yeah. It's why we have light bulbs. It's why we don't have slavery anymore. Yeah. Right? But the flip side is the people that have it get very paranoid about losing it, which is just, it's human nature, right? Yeah. So what happens is, so that he did a great comparison for Iceland, actually. Some of the same problems that are there they're amplified just to the nth degree in the States, but they're still in those wealthy countries. So one of them is arms. Yeah. You get very paranoid that someone's going to take what you have, which is that's what this is, right? That's legitimately what this is.
Yeah, that's why people freak out whenever the government talks about increasing taxes on the wealthy. Yeah. Newsflash, I'm pretty far left leaning, most people would say. But I'm also the type of person who looks at a system and says, okay, we have 3 different payout systems for people on welfare or unemployment or old age or any number of things, like Canada Pension Plan, all that stuff. It all pays out to the almost same demographic. It's, why don't you just condense that, make it a basic income, stop paying all those things, and then tax it out of everybody if they make over a certain amount. It reduces cost on your infrastructure and how many people you have to employ, and it solves a bunch of problems.
Yes, but again, government by its very nature is inefficient. Yeah. It doesn't matter where it is. By its very nature.
Well, it's bureaucracy.
There's there was a website it showed that actually like a government actually ran a whorehouse in the 20s and they actually ran it out of business.
Yeah.
Because it was actually inefficient. How do you fuck that up? I don't know, but you do, and that's the thing people don't understand is that it's government is not a business. It's a structure that's designed by its very nature to be inefficient.
Yeah.
So going to
that inefficiency is actually a protection.
Yeah, exactly. No, it actually is. So if you want to change something within the system, you have to kind of do it yourself, and that's the idea.
Yeah.
The problem today is people don't know how to do that anymore.
Well, also it's extremely difficult to do when everything is about securing funding.
Yes.
And it becomes more and more difficult to secure the funding unless you have a platform.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, which, again, so all of this to say is like, if people want to fix those bigger problems, you got to look at how it's actually designed and change how it's designed.
Oh yeah.
That's the only way to fix it.
You need to change the system.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
Yeah, but it's not going to happen.
Welcome everyone to Josh and Jeremy Talk Politics.
That's
3 hours.
Well, I mean, considering what we did when I was on your podcast,
yeah, I know.
That was amazing. We watched Kevin's brain slowly just implode.
I think the big difference between Kevin and I is that when Kevin sees something that is just soul crushing, he looks at it and goes, where can I find the silver lining? Where I go, let's just lean into the absurdity of this dread and see where it takes us. And we'll laugh at it because the other option is to cry.
Yes. So at least you can laugh at despair,
Exactly.
which is good.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Which is good. Right.
Yeah.
But trying to find silver linings is also a good attitude too.
It is. It's why we make a good team.
Yes. I just enjoy it. Like this, it's still one of my favorite things ever. I voted for you guys for the Aurora. I tried.
Thank you very much.
I tried.
We passed a huge milestone for us, and it's not being on the air for 3 years. Is we got 6 reviews.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually, I don't really. Now I'm gonna feel like I'm bragging, and now I feel bad.
No, you can brag. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My podcast is gonna be in a video game tomorrow.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It's so surreal.
I'm so happy for you.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah. So I mean, like for me, like I used last year when I was nominated for the Aurora, I used that as a platform to see if I can, because I built myself some credibility the minute that happened, right?
Yeah.
So once I did that, it's like, well, how can I utilize this?
Yeah.
Keep leveraging because it makes sense, right?
Yeah,
you have it, you take advantage of it, and then I won, which blew my mind, and then but lots of good things have happened. I got sponsors now, and it's been like my podcast has slowly become an institution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we do some ad reads for you?
That'd be hilarious.
I'll do ad reads for you. I'll do ad reads for you all day.
Yeah, nice. We'll have to talk on this over. But I mean, no, it's been really cool because I watch my own stuff. It's growing, right?
Yeah.
And it's becoming something else, which is great. I'm doing my Winners Collide next weekend.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Actually, I was going to bring this up during our talk because guess what?
What?
We're doing a live show at the same time you're doing a panel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know.
And I feel like anybody who's at our panel who knows who you are is making a large mistake by showing up to our show.
Well, considering I'm doing podcasting and I'm talking about how you actually get sponsorships.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like I'm in the death spot. I literally feel that because it's you guys, the War at the Bar.
Yeah.
There's
a ton of cool stuff. We thought we were going to be in a good spot for people to come by and check us out. But everything at that time slot's really cool.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at that. I'm like, I will be shocked if I have 5 people in my panel. I will be shocked.
Well, if you have 5 people in your panel, just come over to us and we'll insert you into our podcast.
That'd be cool. Well, I'll still do the spiel because if anyone that shows up, you gotta be professional, and I'll try and explain like everything I did because last year's was really good. Like I was right in the morning. I had a packed house, so I mean, it was great. This year, I'm looking at it and I'm going, I don't think I'm going to get a packed house. I remember I did a panel with Adam Dries, Fonda Lee, and Del Suelo.
Yeah.
We had like nobody there.
Yeah.
Because it was that's a death spot. Like that's literally a death spot. It's like, oh no.
See, the thing for us that's really scary is like last year we only had like maybe 10 people in the room, but it's a small room, and we had a couple loud laughers. And we're a comedy podcast. So if we do a live show and nobody laughs in the audience and the microphone can't pick that up, it's horrible.
Yes.
It's horrible. So that's what I'm mostly worried about, is that even if people come and enjoy, we'll have no laughers.
But no, you will. Just be, no, you guys, no, seriously, guys, be yourself. Like Kevin, I actually was just talking about him, like, he's a joyous dude, he's a hilarious guy. You're a hilarious guy, too.
Thank you.
So, I mean, it's one of those things where you guys just be yourselves. It'll work out just fine.
Yeah,
it'll work out just fine.
I hope so. I have a lot of fun doing the live shows. Sometimes it surprises me who is a listener and who is a person who's just like dropped by. Last year for our live show, there was a 16-year-old in the audience. So at the beginning of the show, we were like, "Hey, can we swear? Is this a problem for you, young person?" And they were like, "No, go for it." And then like a 75-year-old in the back was like, "There's swearing on this?" And we're like, okay, so that's the person that just dropped by, and the 16-year-old knows exactly what we're doing.
Yes. And it's cool. Like I'm very conscious of that in my fiction.
Yeah.
Right. I do a panel that night, but I do my live show on Saturday afternoon at 1, and then I do a Dr. Seuss off at 4.
Cool.
So the Dr. Seuss off is going to be very silly. I'm essentially a prop. I'm just there for people to goof off. That's all I'm doing that Dr. Seuss off. But the 1 o'clock show, right? Yeah. I'm actually bringing some of my writings to read to the crowd, get a hint of what I'm doing next year. So I gotta be careful because my adult stuff has got swearing.
Yeah.
But I also write for kids, so I have to be I'm very cognizant of the scenes I'm going to actually.
Yeah. That's interesting you say that to me because I have 2 manuscripts. One is for like a 10-page like kids book, and it's based off a poem I wrote for one of my nieces. And I'm like, okay, is this what I want to start submitting to publishing houses as my first thing? Because it's very simple. But it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But the other one I have is a 300,000-word novel that is like a fantasy, right?
Yeah.
So,
I would be. Honestly, I'd do the 10-pager just for one simple reason: it's a smaller investment for the publishers.
Yeah.
Right. It's just like they can get the content nailed down, and it's done. It's interesting because book-wise, smaller books are better right now.
Oh yeah.
Right. My novel's 50,000 words.
Okay.
And that was designed on purpose
to be that.
To be in that range. The next one will be 60, but I mean, I'm going to try to keep them within that range because I don't want. I'm a big fan of like authors like Roger Zelazny, who wrote these immaculate worlds, but did it so succinctly and beautifully. Yeah. I love that writing, and right now because we're in the era of ebooks, we're in the era of everybody's releasing something, right?
Yeah.
So I look at it this way, like. Don't get me wrong, there's always going to be the market for the epic quest of the orb of awesome to defeat the evil menace of society.
See, my problem is this. I could write a shorter book, but the thing that really interests me is characters. And my background is theater and playwriting.
Yeah.
So like characters, dialogue, multiple arcs going on all at once.
Absolutely.
Is the thing that I love.
But you know what you can do you can do that. I actually chose Zelazny. Zelazny is the example for this reason. He did the same thing. He condensed it. And there's, by the way, I love Brandon Sanderson.
We just talked about him.
Yes.
a couple episodes ago on our podcast.
Yeah. He's one of the best systems people ever. I love Fonda Lee.
Does he listen to your podcast?
I don't know.
Kevin was cussing him out.
Okay. So it's okay. Actually, he is on my list of like big names I haven't gotten yet.
Yeah.
He's on that list. Like I've had Spider Robinson, I've had Fonda Lee, I've had Robert Sawyer, I've had big guests.
You've had some cool people. Every once in a while, I see on your Twitter, you're like, "Hey, I got to interview this person." I'm like, "That's cool."
yeah. It's like. Yeah, no, I'm stoked. It doesn't matter who I'm interviewing. I'm always a fan of that person. I wanted to interview you because I felt like we clicked really well at the podcast. Actually, it was it's like you got where you have that dark humor like I do. Right?
Yeah.
Right. But we're different. But we're different enough that it's like I think we'd get along very, very splendidly. So I wanted to have you on the show, and I figured since I'm moving to BC soon, I'm trying to get all the people I wanted to get, and you're on that list. So I mean,
that's very flattering.
Yes.
One of the things I think is an underrated skill. People say all the time, "Oh, you aren't acting professionally anymore. You're not using your degree." But as an actor, the most important thing you can be doing is reading the people around you all the time. Which, this is going to sound like I'm bragging.
Go ahead. No, there's nothing wrong with that, baby.
But, being able to read a person and see what they want out of an interaction is so important. And then you add my improv training, especially since I got mostly long-form improv.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and it's the same thing. Not only are you looking at the current interaction, but you're looking at
the crowd.
The crowd, but also where can it go next?
Yes.
Right? There's a couple times in our podcast, actually, where I say something in the first half on purpose, and I save a nugget for the second half.
Yeah.
That's a seed for.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and again, that's part of what the world building thing too is, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I do interviews, I generally try to read people. Like I myself, I do it too.
Yeah.
Some people. I did an interview this week where they did not want to do a casual con. They wanted more of a question and an answer podcast, which I can do those. I'm not gonna lie. I mean,
it's less enjoyable for you.
Not only is it less enjoyable for me, I feel it's a less enjoyable show.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, questions don't feel like a natural conversation. They just don't. Now, now, if I ask you a question while we're talking about something, that's natural.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But if I'm just asking you random questions here, there, and everywhere, it's like I'm searching for that way to crack the ice with you. That's what I'm doing, right? And if I can't do it, it's not.
It's dry.
Yeah. That's exactly it. It's just incredibly dry, and it's not real, right?
Well, it's the difference between a good teacher and a bad teacher.
Yeah.
Is a good teacher will find a way to make the topic relevant to their students, or exciting at least, and a bad teacher will just say the words and hope that you're paying attention.
Yeah, that's it. No, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
So it was like, this is like, to me, I did not enjoy that interview very much.
Yeah.
But the next day I had this other interview. It was fantastic. It's probably my favorite interview this year to date. Yeah. We went everywhere. And it was just one of those things we clicked really well personally. Yeah. And then that made it definitely a lot easier. Yeah. And then we just talked about anything and everything. And it was one of my favorite conversations the whole year. And I know that if I'm enjoying it, my audience will enjoy it. Yeah. Yeah. Right? And it's just something that you learn about when you read a room is just like, okay, what do they want? And also I feel like we're in an age where authenticity matters a lot more now than it ever did in the past.
I don't know if it's authenticity. I think it's feeling access, feeling openness. Yes. When a person feels like if they saw you, they could know you and come up to you and talk to you, and it wouldn't be weird. Of course, it would be weird because I've had a couple people now throughout the course of my life, sometimes from theater or sometimes from the podcast, come up and be like, oh, hey, how's it going? And me being like, oh, I don't remember this person. Where do I know them from? And then at the end, they'll be like, thanks, love listening to your podcast. And I'll be like, oh, it's a fan. It's a fan. Yeah. So the rule I instituted actually is that if somebody sees me out in public, they should tweet at me first, right? And say, like, I'm going to come over to you, right? And then they can come over to me and they can just say, check your Twitter, and I will 100% completely understand the situation, and you'll have a much better experience with me.
See, I've learned. Well, I've been exposed to this a little. I think I don't know. Well, at least with the podcast, I've been exposed to this a little bit more. I can't speak to your theater.
I mean, most of the theater stuff for me getting recognized was like women over 60 coming over and like hitting on me. So no, probably not a direct parallel line.
No. But not that I haven't been hit on by dirty old women before. It's just one of those. It's just one of those, like, you know. But I mean, that's interesting. Like for me, I've learned that you know, like, so I either get the awkward candidate. Yeah. Or which just comes up kind of nervous, kind of shy. Yeah. And that you read it, it's like, okay, what's going on? Number two, someone will just walk in and just start talking to you.
Yeah, the person who knows you.
Who knows you, but you don't know them, exactly. Right?
Yeah.
So my strategy actually with that is just to go with it. Yeah. I was like, at some point they're going to tell me who they are, or they're not, and either way, I'm just like, I'm going to enjoy this. All right. Now, right, especially if I'm in like a place like One Words Collide or in a public place, that's just my whole attitude. It's like, people are going to know me, or people aren't going to know me, and that's all totally fine. There are advantages to being I call it an author level of fame. Yeah. The people that really know you, really know you. Yeah. The people that don't know you don't care. So you kind of get this like weird, like, you're a celebrity, but you're not at the same time.
Celebrity 10% of the time.
Yeah, exactly, which is perfect.
Yeah.
Being famous scares me.
Yeah, no, that's hugely terrifying for me.
Yeah.
That's why I never went into film.
Really?
Yeah. Well, there's three reasons why I never went into film. One, I have no interest in fame.
Yeah.
If the ideal situation for me would be to create something, put it out there, people to enjoy it, me to make enough money to live off of doing that, and that for nobody to see me ever again.
Okay, that's not going to happen in this day.
It's not going to happen. Yeah. It's not going to happen. That'd be ideal for me. But so I really don't like fame. I really don't like the engine of celebrity.
I don't think anybody.
And not only that, I would be a bad celebrity. People would be like, "What's Jeremy Verkley up to? What's happening? Who's at his house?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, these 6 people came over. What's happening?" And I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I had a dinner party. We played some D&D. I made a casserole."
That'd be like the best celebrity ever. What are you talking about?
I mean, yes, but in terms of the media, they would hate me.
Well, who cares what the media wants? I mean, seriously.
Yeah, but the second reason I never did film is because it seems really inauthentic to me. And I mean that in a performance level. I can absolutely put on a face. I learned how to do that. But one of the really appealing things about theater to me is that you go through the whole journey every single night, right, of the show, of your character. Whereas for film, they might be like, okay, we're filming this scene, it's for the morning, come here 3 hours early, we'll get you in makeup, right? Makeup takes an hour, you've got to wait 2 hours, then the lighting's just right, you've got 15 minutes to do the scene, you do it 16 times
in
those 15 minutes. And then you have to wait till dusk now, but you're not allowed to leave the set because they've got to change your makeup because in the interim, like they film it out of order, you have a bunch of downtime. That drives me crazy. Can't do that.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And the last reason I ever got into film is because I've never been a person who is focused on creating a cohesive look. I would love it if I never had to comb my hair, if I never had to trim my beard up or wear any dress clothes.
Yeah. I'm in that weird spot where I need to do that. Even though right now I look like a freaking caveman. I mean,
no, you look amazing, Josh. This is an audio platform.
That's right.
Nobody needs to know how you look.
That's okay. I have no illusions. I actually been debating, do I keep the semi-Viking thing right when going, right? Because it's like, so I'm gonna get chopped up for One Words Collide. It's like, do I want to look like I just got out of prison? Do I want to look like I just got out of prison / Viking look?
Yeah.
Like I haven't decided. But the other thing too is because I'm about to make a big change.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a part I kind of need to grow in a little bit.
Yeah.
I've had again. I've achieved a little bit of success. So
Yeah.
now I want to see where this goes. That means I have to stand out. I have to.
Yeah.
I have to.
Yeah.
I have to be a professional, whatever the fuck that is.
Let me tell you, as experience as a sales rep who has to be a professional, being a professional sucks,
Yes.
and you shouldn't do it. Instead, what you should do is find ways to bring yourself to a professional level.
Yes.
So, like for me, I hate wearing dress pants. My thighs are too thick for most of them.
Yes.
I have big thunder thighs. So now instead I wear like linen pants, or I find slacks that fit me and work for me. A lot of people in my industry, they just come up and it's business. I make it a point every single time I come in of being like, hey, how are you? I learned at least one thing about every single one of my clients that has nothing to do work related.
Yes.
And it makes my job more enjoyable.
Well, and it's also, although maybe not be the intention, it's also just good sales. Because
yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
It might not be like what was your intention behind it.
I definitely calculated it.
But I'm not saying you didn't. It's look. When I started the podcast, there was a calculation of the fact that people would come on my show and talk to me, and I would benefit from this. What happens is when you choose a path, you get more than you bargained for every step of the way. For me, I get to meet incredible people that tell me all kinds of cool things about what they're doing, where they're coming from, where they're going, and it's inspiring. I get a little inspiring from everybody I talk to. Right? That was the plan.
Yeah.
But not the way like you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you know
I
what
gotcha.
I mean? And I figured it's probably something similar with you.
Yeah.
Like, it's good to be more personal with my clients. It's good business, actually.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm sure there was a calculation. There was a bit of a calculation, but then when you actually started doing it, you're like, wow, this is actually great.
Well, there was a hope that would work.
Yes.
But really, for me, it was a necessity.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't know this, but when I started the Third Space with Kevin Weir, I was in a really dark place. I was in a fairly abusive relationship. I was doing a job where 80% of my time was spent in a car driving alone. I was home maybe a week out of every 5 weeks. And I had lost touch with almost all my friends. I had lost touch. I wasn't doing any of my creative work. It came about, Kevin and I were at a mutual friend's wedding, and we had a joke. We were joking about how Oreo came out with a cookies and cream Oreo. We were like, who made an Oreo? And that spiraled out to us talking about Ouroboros.
Interesting.
Yeah, which is kind of par for the course for us. But at the end of the conversation, Kevin said, hey, I listen to some podcasts. If you're on the road a lot, it's a good thing to fill. And I said, oh, well, why aren't you doing a podcast? Because his background, audio and film, is perfect for it.
Absolutely.
As well as improv. And he's like, I just don't have anybody to do a podcast with. And I let that sit for about 2 weeks, and then I messaged him and said, let's do a podcast. And that's the first action I took, and it's a really important lesson for anybody to learn, I think, in that choose to do things even if they're not going to provide fiscal value. Choose things that have value in your life regardless of whether or not you succeed.
Yeah.
So even if that podcast is not funny to anybody but Kevin or I, we see each other, we have a good time,
and you both have benefited from it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We've both benefited from it. When
we go off the air,
yeah.
I'm gonna give you some of the same things I talked to Kevin about last night. How to maybe actually get your viewerships up a little bit.
For sure.
Yeah. I figure I'll tell you both because I'm seeing you both, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. But no, I really dig it. I love I love your world building stuff, and the world building generator always makes me smile. Always.
That thing is always such a mess.
Yes.
Oh
no, that's why it works.
Yeah.
Right? That's why it works. I do think you guys should have more guests during that, though, because I think that would be a lot. That would add a little something to it.
This is a conversation, and actually, I guess a debate Kevin and I have had.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's so much value in bringing in a different person into it, because no matter how diverse Kevin and I try to be, we're both people who have been in the entertainment industry. We're both straight white dudes. We're both nerds. We're both bearded individuals.
You're almost the same ice cream flavor.
Yeah. He's cookies and cream, and I'm chocolate chip cookie dough.
Yeah.
They're both cookies. They're both in cream ice cream.
Yeah.
They both have chocolate in them.
But
they're a little different.
Again, you guys, your dynamic's different enough.
Yeah.
It by and large it works.
Yeah.
But every so often, like I thought, like my show is not just my show. Other shows I guess have been refreshing for you guys.
Yeah.
It throws another dynamic in there.
I love the guests, and I want to get lots of guests on. The problem is that I want somebody who's completely different. But you build your social circle as you're going out, and this is one of the reasons why I want people to tweet at us and to do that, because if I can find people who are different walks of life, different things, I'd love to have them on the podcast.
You should just be open. Just do what I did. Be open to everything. I've had literally almost every kind of walk of life you can imagine on my podcast.
Yeah.
Ages.
No, I'd love it, but here's the counter argument that Kevin often makes to me, and that is that he feels like for the people that listen to our show week in, week out, what they come for specifically is our dynamic.
And he's not wrong.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
No, he's not wrong.
Yeah.
But this is the argument I would throw to him. You don't have to do a guest every time. No.
If we could get a guest every time, we'd be successful.
No. You guys totally could if that was what you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all about, okay, look, I've had podcasts where I've played Magic the Gathering on my podcast.
Yeah.
I have had podcasts where my board game has been on the podcast.
Yeah.
I'm going to put the Dr. Seuss off this year on my podcast.
Cool.
Why? Because it breaks the dynamic of what I do up each, even though there's generally the same dynamic of me and a guest, and that it creates a different thing because it's a different guest every time. It's a different story.
Well, you're doing a different thing.
Yeah, right. But I even break that up every once in a while because it's actually healthy for the show.
Yeah.
Right. I think the compromise is, like, let's say the number is 8. Every 8th show, you just do something completely out of the box of what you guys normally do.
I mean, there's a couple. The other thing that's a problem for us right now, because we're trying to do a new series that is basically something that we might be able to launch like a Patreon off of or something. I don't know if you listened to it, but we did the creature feature on sirens.
I haven't listened to that one yet.
So in that, I did a little bit of work because Kevin said he wanted to do harpies. And I was like, okay, well, let me take a look at what harpies are, right? And he's like, we could do sirens too as an afterthought. And I looked at it and I thought, the story of the sirens is crazy.
Yes, it is.
It's
absolutely.
It's bananas.
Right now I'm reading Talina Whitner's Undine's Tear. It's all about sirens.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, so I went and put together a chronology of where sirens start and end and everything in between in Greek myth, and people really enjoyed it. We got lots of good feedback.
Absolutely.
So the idea that we sort of had is that we do some research and we have a series where one of us takes a character from myth, and the other one doesn't know anything about it, and they show up, and we go, okay, listen to this bullshit, and go through. But the problem with it is right now, we put thought into our podcast.
Absolutely.
But it's very much, it can be done day of if we need to. Because so much of it is just improv, and we can't plan too far ahead. Because if we think our talking points up, we miss all of the wonderful things.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you how I structured my show.
Everybody listen to Josh's secrets.
Okay, so the very first thing is I decided how long would my show be?
Yeah.
Half hour to an hour. Now lately that's been a little tougher because I've also, like, because of me figuring out sponsorships, me figuring out all these other things, my shows are a lot denser now. They're a lot harder to put together than they used to be, because I have a lot more to throw into them now. But at the same token, right, I still try to keep relatively within that formula. Again, my intro, this took me a while to figure out, is no longer than 2 minutes. My close can be however long I want it to be, but I still try to keep them relatively short most of the time. Unless it was something like my GoFundMe for my teeth. Then I won the Aurora, or like a really big milestone. I let myself, I give myself diarrhea at the mouth. I even say to my guests, like, you want to skip this, you can. This is just me going off. But again, so it's the personal journey aspect of my show, right? That is a part of it. So the last thing is, get the guests to talk about who they are and what they're doing, what we've been doing here, right? But also it's also a reflection of my own journey. Everybody, again, I'm trying to go for a certain degree of success. Everybody I've interviewed on some level or another are also going for those levels of success in something. So it goes. So that's it. And then everything else I kind of just let. Like, I do all these interviews way in advance, but the actual constructing the show, I usually do the night of the show I had to put it up. I usually, like, that's when I completely construct the show. I've done so many of them, it's not hard anymore. Right? So
well, that's the thing. It's really easy for somebody to stop appreciating their own skill set. One of the big feedbacks I've gotten now that I'm on the internet is people notice a lot that I take angles in a narrative way. And I hadn't thought about it, but I have theater training, playwriting training, improv training, story writing training, character-specific training, because I did like clown work and stuff at festivals for a while. Basically, I almost have every single type of narrative training you could possibly have. And I was also that kid who walked around making funny noises and doing weird voices. So I've been doing it literally my whole life. I've reached 10,000 hours a long time ago.
So you're an expert, right? So
So, but I had never thought to include that on my list of skills.
See, for me, and it's funny because I'm on VC. But like my resume specifically for the next job is going to be based on everything the podcast has taught me. And I actually had to think about that in great detail. Interview skills, narratives, right? Controlling time cues, audio engineering, right? Sales, right? Building an audience.
Well, building relationships.
That too. Right? That too. Right? So all that, like networking, that's the other one, right? I have all these skills that I've pretty much taught on my own. I know they're worth something. I know it. And so it's just like, let's see what I can get with this. Maybe now I don't have the same problems working in the film industry you do, but then again, I'm going to be behind the camera, not in front of the camera. So it's like, although oddly still there's a lot standing around even behind the camera, but.
This episode of Just Joshing is sponsored by Indie Imprint. Indie Imprint supports creators by creators. Whether you are writing a book or creating a video game, Indie Imprint works with its clients to produce, edit, and present their projects to the world. For more information, check out their website at www.indieimprint.com.
And that was part one of my conversation with Jeremy Verkley. Part two will air this week, right before I disappear. I broke this into two parts for a couple reasons. So the next one's going to be kind of an emotional kind of farewell to Calgary. But like I said, if you want to support Jeremy, check out Third World Podcast. Just check him out in general of anything he's doing. He's a really cool dude. I'm just going to wrap this up because we got one more part to go before I wrap it all up for Calgary. If you want to support the podcast, do so a number of different ways. You subscribe to the podcast. I am on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Podomatic. My Twitter handle and Instagram is at jpentelaresco. My Facebook page is Joshua Pentelaresco, author, podcaster. My YouTube channel is Joshua Pentelaresco. My books, The Watcher Storm, Answer, Wandering God, are available at mirrorworldpublishing.com. Outside of that, check out my sponsor, Indie Imprint. Get Your Ass to Mars is available now. take a look at them. They're available on Steam. They're available on PC. If you are an independent creator and want your work developed, Indie Imprint is definitely one of the places you go to. Check out indieimprint.com for more details. Beyond that, guys, thanks for listening. Stay inspired. One more to go, huh? Ought to be good. Talk to you soon.
Josh.